Hello, hello. Shalom, shalom. Welcome once again
Shalom, shalom.
to our outreach for our midweek MIDrash. We are already up to number 12. Can you believe that? Pretty impressive. Number 1 to 12. Letter L, the equivalent of L, which is Lahmed. We are in Psalm 119, Psalm 119. And as we've said numerous times as an introduction, William, shalom, shalom. Good to see you. As we've said before, it's an acrostic, which means that there are sections for each letter of the alphabet. There is exactly 22 sections for each letter and 8 verses for each verse, for each letter, which adds up to 176. And each little section of 8 tells its own little story. It's a beautiful psalm. It's amazing in its complexity and its artistic arrangement and design. It is also anonymous. There's no superscript. There's no authorship. There's no reason for it except to exalt the Torah, to exalt the 8 different words that we see throughout. We see Torah, testimonies, statutes, precepts, decrees, judgments, commandments, and word. There's 8 of these categories, 4 male, 4 female, and we see this scattered throughout this wonderful psalm. Shalom, who is there? Is that our friend Herman?
Yes, it is.
All right.
Hi, Herman.
Here.
Very good. Very, very good. Okay. Hello, hello, Yochanan. Shalom to the Mishpacha here tonight. All right. So we have Yochanan, we have William, and we hope that we will have others also. Pop in, give us a little live chat, or let us know what you think at the end, or whenever you feel like chatting. Be with us. And as I said, we are going through this wonderful psalm, amazing psalm of artistic complexity. Psalm 117. We're already in our 12th episode, our 12th letter, Lahmed.
Psalm 119.
What did I say?
117.
I said Psalm 117. Forgive me. It's 119. Psalm 119. And it is a wonderful psalm, and we will be going into it in a few moments. We're gonna do a little teaching on the letters as we do each week. And again, we're grateful that you're with us tonight. And this is not exhaustive by any stretch, but we get the opportunity to do a little instructional, a little teaching on the verses themselves, as well as the meanings of the words. We go through them word by word in the Hebrew, and we get a deeper understanding of many things, and it's a blessing. And as we see, this is our old school tablet, all right? And each of the verses, the first word of each of the verses begins with the Lahmed, as we said, of each of these. That's what that is. Okay, what am I doing here with my papers here? Oh, okay. And again, that's what an acrostic does. It begins with the letter Lahmed, 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 all the way down. And here is what the Lahmed looks like, at least according to my chicken scratch. And here the word Lahmed is spelled out. This is what the paleo version of the letter looks like, the Lahmed, which is a shepherd's crook. It is a shepherd's crook. It is also referred to as a rod, which is authority of control, a cattle goad, if you will, to keep things in line. And here we have the word El, which is the word for G-O-D, for God, Elohim. And it is the Aleph, which is symbolic of the authoritative, or the primary, connected with the Lahmed, creates the master shepherd, or the master guider, okay? The one who has the master staff, okay? Who guides us and controls things. And here we see how the Lahmed is used with another letter at the beginning of a word. Okay. And this would be like for to or toward. Toward. Like, for instance, the first word of this section is le'olam, which means to eternity, to evermore, to eternity. We're going to go into that in a minute. But that's one of the usages of Lahmed. This is lo. And lo sounds like no. And so it is. It is no. lo. Okay, this is lashon, lashon, and I gotta do a little backup here on some of these letters. Lashon is tongue. It is the tongue. Lashon sounds like lash. Lashon. Okay, lashon. This is lev. This is corazon. It is the heart. And excuse my my locks. I need a garden shear here. I've been sort of locked into this apartment here. Okay, so lev is the heart, the tongue. Sometimes they're connected, right? Out of the heart, the lips speak. The lev to the lashon. It's got to be a good connection. It's got to be connected with la cabeza also, the mind, the thinking, the chakma, the wisdom, before it comes out. You got to make that connection between the heart and the mind before it is effectively delivered with purpose. Okay, so lashon and lev, interesting connection. Just like last week we had the dog and the bride. No, okay. Anyway, so we have lamad, lamad. What is lamad? Lamad. Lamad. Oh, lamad is to learn. And limed, limed is also connected to that, which is to teach. So there's a sense of learning here going on with these same three consonants, lamed, mem, and dalet, okay? To teach, to learn, to teach. There's a beautiful cycle. And with this psalm, we're getting a direct delivery of the beauty of the communications which initiate with the Father, who gives birth to truth and transmits it to those who are his, who are eager to learn, to be his Talmudim, to be his students, to learn his ways, to replicate his ways and his manner of thinking. Okay? Okay, this is lechem. Lechem. Sounds, I feel like having a sandwich. Lechem. Oh, that's bread. Lechem. Also a euphemism for food in general, but primarily it is lechem, it is bread. Bread, good. Lechem, good. Lacham. Lacham is war. Now you don't want to fight over bread. So lacham and lechem have the same consonants. How one is war and one is bread, unless you're having a war over bread, you know? I don't know. Lavat. Lavat. And that is affection. Affliction. There's a distinction there between affliction and affection. Believe me. We don't want to be afflicted with affection or affected with affliction. Okay, so lavat and le'om. Le'om. Okay, pardon me if I've got to keep referring to the sheet here. Le'om. Oh, le'om is a nation. And nations go to war, right? So le'om. And am is the people. Le'om is the nation. La'ah. La'ah. La'ah is to be weary, to be tired, to be exhausted. And after that, I can say that I'm la'ah. I'm a little tired, and my lovely Regina holding up the board for us. Okay, so we have a little lesson on the Lamed, the 12th letter. And before we get started, that's my little introduction. Herman, would you like to add a little introductory addition there?
Okay. The Lamed has a numerical value of 30.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, Bob, it's used as a prefix or a preposition. It has many, many meanings. The two primary meanings could be for, or to, or towards, or according to. So it's used as a preposition. In other words, it's used before a word, connected to the word.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Let's see. I think that's about it as far as the actual letter is concerned. Numerical value of 30 and a very, very popular preposition. Found quite a bit throughout the Hebrew Bible.
Yeah, and as I'm looking at the first words of the verses, 6 out of the 8 are using the Lamed as a preposition. So it is important for us to recognize that. And we'll usually see that with a schwa, the double dots underneath it, which is a grace note. It's not a full syllable, as I was told years ago. So le'olam is the first word we're going to be seeing, which is a beautiful word. I'm sorry, I cut you off there, buddy. Go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. You're absolutely right. The very first verse, verse 89, uses the Lahmed as a preposition, forever. But as I said, it can mean many, many things. It could mean to or for or towards, belonging to. It can mean according to, in, sometimes even in, regards to, so on. So it has many, many, many different meanings, of course, depending on the context. And you're right, yeah, it's in the first verse, as well as in the second verse, verse 90, Nedod Vadod. So yeah, we find it used as a preposition quite a bit.
Amen. Amen. So at this time, before we officially get started, I'd like to ask our friend Gilbert to offer up an opening prayer, please.
Yes, sir. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Well, it's not Shabbat Shalom, but it's Shalom.
Also, Brother Yochanan, greetings once more. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and praise once more to be in your presence. As you look down upon us, Father, as we're about to embark on your words, dear Father, may you give us strength and understanding, Father. Above all, we ask for your continual mercy and blessing as we proceed this evening via the telephone. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. We also have Pat on the line. Wonderful, wonderful. And we thank you again for okay. We see a couple little notes there. Okay, so we're going to get started now. Our friend Herman is going to read from verse 89 to verse 96 of Psalm 119 in English, and then I'm going to take it slowly, verse by verse, in the Hebrew, and we're going to get as much out of this as we can in this limited time. You know, we don't. This is not exhaustive, but it is forthright and is an accurate attempt for us to get a full understanding on this and the connection of the verses together and the stories that they also tell. Okay, sir.
Alrighty. Section Lahmed, verse 89. Forever, Lord, your word is settled in heaven. Your faithfulness endures to all generations. You establish the earth, and it abides. They continue this day according to your ordinances, for all are your servants. Unless your law had been my delight, I would then have perished in my affliction. I will never forget your precepts, for by them you have given me life. I am yours. Save me, for I have sought your precepts. The wicked wait for me to destroy me, but I will consider your testimonies. I have seen the consummation of all perfection, but your commandment is exceedingly broad.
Amen.
Amen. Exceedingly broad. Amen. Amen. And Herman, what is that little upside down triangle that indicates the middle of the verse? What is that called again?
Which verse are you referring to?
Well, like for instance, in this verse, in the middle of the word Yahuwah, the middle of the sacred name, we see the little
okay, verse 89.
Yeah, what is that?
Yahweh, right?
Yeah, what is that called?
That little arrow pointing upward, it's called an athnach. The Sephardic pronunciation would be an athnach. The Ashkenazi pronunciation would be ethnachta. And that usually marks the division of the verse, the grammatical division, not necessarily the numerical, because let's suppose, for instance, a verse has 10 words in it. The athnach will mark the grammatical division, not the number. In other words, it's not going to split the verse 5 and 5. I mean, it could, but it's the grammatical. And as you can see in verse 89, it comes after the second word. So forever, O Lord. And then usually it is reflected either by a comma, many times by a period, sometimes a semicolon. So it functions as punctuation.
Excellent.
However, let me just add a few more things regarding these markings.
Mm-hmm.
These markings were added by the Masoretes, and they have various functions. One, of course, is punctuation. As I said, a comma, a period, a semicolon. But it also functions to note the syllable that's going to be stressed in a word.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In addition to that, it also functions as a cantillation note when the portion of the Torah is read. In reality, it's chanted. Also as notes, musical notes for a tone.
Right. Gotcha.
So they have various functions. The system is a very compact system where one particular symbol has various purposes. So getting back to your original question, it is called an aphnak, and it usually marks the center, the grammatical division of the verse.
Thank you, sir. That is excellent. Excellent. So let us begin. Chapter Psalm 119, verse 89. And as I showed you earlier, le'olam is the first word right here. Le'olam. Le'olam. Okay? To forever or to eternity. Okay? Beyond the vanishing point. Okay? It comes from the word alam, which is to veil from sight or to conceal. So it's beyond our visual capacity to comprehend. It's beyond the vanishing point, beyond the horizon. Okay, so it is a euphemism for eternity or forever. Okay, to forever, Yahuwah, the eternal name. Devar cha. To eternity, O eternal Yah, is your word. Your word is eternal. Your word is as you are. You are forever. Forever, Yahuwah, is your word. Nitzav ba shamayim. Nitzav ba shamayim, in the heavens. Netzav is to stand firm. It's from the word natzav, which is to station, to be settled, to be established. It is so. It is so. Okay? Forever, Yahuwah, your word is settled in the heavens. We should not add to or subtract from as he gives us his word, because from Hashemayim, where it originates, it is settled. It is settled. We don't need to question or quantify it beyond the restrictions that he provides for us. Don't go beyond what is written. Okay? So to eternity or forever, Yahuwah, your word is forever. And it is established in the heavens. It is settled. It is confirmed. Natsav. It is good. It is good in the heavens. Hashbashamayim. In the heavens. And the next word is again using the Lahmed. Okay, that's not gonna do. Okay. Ledor. Ledor is the next first word. That is verse 90. Ledor, which means to generation. Vador, to generation and to generation. Emunatecha. We see the word emunah in there. Faithfulness, okay? Your faithfulness is to generation and to generation. For all generations is your faithfulness, okay? It endures, it continues, it originates in the heavens, and it flows from generation to generation to generation to generation, and on and on and on. That's eternity. That is the promise of the seed of Abraham, that he would give birth, Yitzhak, and it would go on to Yaakov, Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, etc., etc., etc. And in that way, we have a sense of immortality by our children being passed down faithfully, maintaining the faith. And so eternity is seen from generation to generation for all generations. Okay, your faithfulness. And again, we have another interesting word, konanta, konaneta, which is you established. And here's another word for established, which is the word kun, which means to be erect, stand perpendicular, to be established. The plumb lines are all in shape. You know, when the architects determine the building structure, they don't build it on a hill. They make sure everything is right, angles, perpendicular, everything is measured exactly. Measure twice, cut once. That's another wise old saying. I don't think that's Solomon's writing, though, but I believe that that is a sound truth as well. So from generation to generation, your faithfulness, you've established, okay? You've established, okay? Eretz, earth, vata'amod, vata'amod. Amad is to stand, to abide, to continue. So again, we have the sense of endurance. We have the sense of establishing and to be standing firm and settled. Just in these two verses, we get the sense of permanence, that we're not temporary stuff that's being discussed here. This is from eternity to eternity, and it's a beautiful creation of Yahuwah, which is not meant to grow old and fade, because it reflects his eternal qualities. So from generation to generation, your faithfulness endures. You've established the earth, and it endures, it abides, as it says here, to continue. There's a sense of continuing, just like the generations will continue. You know, I have children. We all have children here, and we get a sense of the next generation and how precious it is to mentor that generation, not just to have them, but to mentor them, to bring them up in the proper way. So again, any comments you guys want to make during the course of this, please feel free to do so. But here we see in these two verses, we get a sense of eternity. Forever your word is settled in the heavens. Your faithfulness endures to all generations. You establish the earth and it abides. So we have Bereshit, we have Genesis, if you will, even being referred to, going back to before the beginning. Okay, it's being confirmed. It's being confirmed. And here we have another word. The next verse has that same prefix. Okay, le mishpatecha, le mishpatecha. Okay, your judgments, your ordinances, as your ordinances or as your judgments. Okay, du ha yom. I'm sorry, let's do them words. Du, which means they endure. Amad, again, is the word here for enduring. Amad, to endure. As your ordinances, they endure. Hayom, the day. They continue this day. Okay, as the ordinances, they endure for the day. Ki ha-kol, for all. Avadecha, we have the word eved in there, for all your servants, for all of your servants. They continue this day according to your ordinances. All the stuff leading up to this, the words, the faithfulness, all that has been established, they continue to endure. They continue to endure. Again, we have amdu, which is amad again, the same word that was used in the previous verse. Endurance. We need to develop that sense of endurance in our lives to build ourselves up, build up our endurance levels. You know, if you want to be a runner, you got to start with a couple of steps first. You're not going to be a marathon runner in the first 5 minutes, right? So it's an endurance. We're not our lives are not a sprint, it is a marathon. It continues, it moves forward. And all this stuff continues this day, starting from this day to eternity. Continue to say, they continue this day according to your ordinances, for they are your servants. They stand, they endure this day. You know, we're not talking about ancient history, just like Messiah when he says, you've heard it said that, an eye for an eye, for a tooth for a tooth. But I say, he's not saying that in contrast. He's saying, you have heard it said, and he adds by saying, to those of old. So, if you thought this was just an old adage or an old saying, but I say now the relevance of the statement is now thus. So I say thus. He's not saying it, oh, well, this is how it used to be in the law, but now New Testament Jesus comes along. He's got a new, game up his sleeve, and it's just how I'm going to tell you how it is. No, he's not saying that. He says, you have heard it said of old, this. And for you who thought this was an old game, old and worn out, and we need something new to come along, says, no. This is still perfectly good, but I'm going to tell you how. You can't just divorce your wife. You can't just put her away, give her a get. This has got to be the reasoning. And it's got to be because of sexual impurity. It's got to be for perversions or some kind of proclivities that were hidden at the time of the marriage or whatever. That would be the only ground, because Yahuwah hates divorce. He hates the separation of that which he puts together. And here we're seeing in these 3 verses, he's putting things together. He doesn't want to stop his creation to say, hey, wait a minute, you guys, you're going to work with me or you're going to work against me. So, as the ordinances, they endure to this day for all your servances, for all your servants, your servances, okay, make up new words as I go along. They continue this day according to your ordinances, for all are your servants. All are your servants. All of the things that he sets in motion are serving Yahuwah. When we see Bereshit chapter 1, Genesis 1, we see on day 4, the great light, the lesser light, the stars, the moon, they are all servants. They're all avadim. They're all servants of Yahuwah. They all have a purpose. They're all pointing to something. They're all initiating something. They're all indicating something. And these are his ordinances, his statutes, his judgments. Just like with the mallet on the courtroom, right? The judgment hits the mallet. It's done. It's done. Just like we said at the very first verse, they're established. Boom. Natsav. It's done. It stands firm. It's not moving. It's not going anywhere. For all of your servants, okay, they continue this day according to your ordinances for all of your servants. And he's talking about the inanimate things, as well as those who, as we see in the next verse, applies to the psalmist. Okay? So we pick up 92 Lule. Okay. Lule, which is one of the few literal Lahmed words that are used here without it just being at the start of the word. There's only 2 of the 8 verses that actually uses a Lahmed word. The rest of them are all using the Lahmed as the preposition and indicator. So, okay, so we have Lule. Lule. Thank you, Mama. Lule, which is if not. Okay? Lule Toratecha, if not for the laws of you. Okay? Sha'ashuai, which comes from the word sha'ashua, which is a delight, an enjoyment, or a pleasure. Okay? If not for your law, if not your law had been a delight to me, if your law had not been a delight to me, okay, as then avad ti, I would have perished. Ve'an ye, in my affliction. Okay, ani, the word ani, was starting with an ayin, a nun, and a yod, is a depression, is misery, is trouble. Unless your law had been my delight, or the focal point of that which I've gained and derive enjoyment and pleasure. And yes, we find pleasure in studying his word and finding enrichment in doing so. The process is wonderful. Okay? If not for the laws, for your laws, if not for your laws, if they had not been what was delightful to me, I would have perished in my affliction. I would have perished in my affliction. And again, it seems like at least one verse of each of these letters has something to do with an affliction. There's a reminder. There's a reminder. There's a thorn in the flesh type of a scenario. There's something that's not 100. If we remove that, everything is perfect, right? That's why in our day we have creation. We have the things that Yahuwah made in the first 6 days. The first 5 days are Tov. Okay? And then the 6th day is Tov Ma'od. It doesn't reach Metsuyan, excellent, until Messiah comes back and makes it perfect again. Okay? And it requires our attention and our involvement as stewards to make it so. Okay? So we would have perished in our afflictions because the word heals. Remember the Torah says, I sent my word to heal them. Unless your law had been my delight, I would have perished in my affliction, in the affliction of me, ve'ani, in my depression. I would have perished in my misery, in my troubles. But your laws have given me delight. In spite of everything, your laws, the light of your law has given me reason to move forward and to be positive in my life and not to be negative Nelly and to assume the worst and so on and so forth. So we see this building up. We see creation referred to. Now it's referring to us. Unless your law had been my delight. And the first 4 verses are all talking, first 3 verses prior to this are describing what the Torah, the benefits of Torah. And now all of a sudden, if I didn't find delight in this, I would have died. I would not be alive to appreciate your Torah. And I would have died in my affliction, not anything that you put upon me, but that I suffered from, that I did not allow myself. I was sinking, but you pulled me up out of the miry clay to set me up on the rock, a place of stability. Again, that's one of the focused messages that keep coming through. A sense of permanence, a sense of everlasting, a sense of improving and increasing and good. And it ends with that same statement. I'm going to cut to the chase, but it ends with that perfect statement, the conclusion that he makes. Just like the author of Ecclesiastes, the whole purpose of man is to love and to fear Yahuwah, to keep his commandments. It's the whole purpose of man, to love him, serve him, fear him, keep his word, keep his word, keep his word. Okay, now we go to verse 93. Okay. Le'olam, again, le'olam. Love that phrase, because that's eternity. Le'olam va'ed is the sense of forever and forever. That which is good and established by Yahuwah is eternal, not going anywhere. And if we only are faithful to the end, we will see it and we will enjoy it, and nothing will be withheld from us. And we will enjoy all of these features. So again, le'olam, to forever. Okay, to forever. Lo, not ash. I'm sorry, eshkach. I will not, to forever. I will not forget. I will never forget. In other words, I will never forget. So it's a little awkward saying to forever. I will not forget, but I will never forget. And this is like a vow that is meaning business, as he knows that he would be dead if not for the word. To forever I will not forget. Okay? Pekudecha, your precepts. I will not forget your precepts. Ki vam, for by them he ye tani. The ye tani. You made me, you quickened me, you revived me. The word haya is to quicken, to revive. Talitha kumi, little girl, arise. Little girl, arise. Talitha kumi, little girl, arise. Okay, you made me, you quickened me. She's not dead. She's not dead. And by then the family had hired professional mourners who were wailing and playing instruments and throwing dust in the air. And he's saying, she's asleep. Take my word for it. She's asleep. Talitha kumi. Give her something to eat. She's alive. The word through Yeshua, who is the Logos, who is the Devar Yahuwah, gives life, quickens us. So Mashiach gives us resurrection experience now. We're not like Lazarus 4 days in the tomb. We are sitting wherever we're sitting, and he's offering us resurrection power now to overcome death in our thinking. People are being obsessed with politics, obsessed with all kinds of nonsense, where the word is there to heal. If not for your Torah and the love of your Torah, I would have perished in my affliction. I would not have been saved from my affliction, because your word delivers me from it, and I would have remained in it if I didn't have that love. They perish because they have no love for the truth. We have to love the truth, and it's going to save us. It's going to rescue us. It rescue us physically, emotionally, spiritually. It's good. We're going to find the ground under our feet, and we can make a stand in that way. So again, just look what it's saying here. To forever I will not forget your precepts, for by them you have quickened me. You have made me alive. You have given me life. You've given me life. So it's a powerful, powerful verse. How could we not be moved by these words that are truth, everlasting truth? Okay. Lecha ani. Lecha ani. Can we see that? Am I here? Yeah. Lecha ani. Lecha ani. To you I am for you. I am for you. I am yours, as it says in the English here. Lecha ani. We could say that in our prayers tonight. Lecha ani. I am for you. I've been created for you, for your purposes, to fulfill my life. And by putting that first and foremost, I can be a good husband. I can be a faithful husband. I can be a competent or semi-competent father. I can put together messages. I can do teachings. But if I don't have that love first, if I don't cry up to Hashemayim and say, Lecha ani, to you I am yours. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I hope that you're getting this and you're excited about this, okay? Lecha ani hoshieni, I'm sorry. Save me, hoshieni, save me. Yasha is to save, which literally means to open wide and free, to deliver, to defend, to cause salvation. But again, the idea of opening something wide and spread out. We talked about that before. Something that's been spread out. It's not confined. It's not the broad way that leads to destruction. It is the eternal path, which is limitless. Okay? Once we find the narrow way, it opens up to something greater within. It looks difficult. It looks hard. It looks narrow. But once we pass those gates, it's eternity before us. Le'olam va'ed. This narrow path that we walk through leads to eternity. And just the opposite happens. When we go to the broad way with all the bright lights and all the attractions, we go in there and there's death and there's nothing left. It's all cardboard facades. They're not even real buildings and structures. It's all a fake. It's all faux. It's not real. Lo tov, it's not good, okay? So to you, I am for you, so save me. I am yours, so save me. I am yours. If I'm your child, as a parent, you watch out for your kids. You watch out for that which is yours. You watch out for your kids. So I'm yours, Father. Hey, here, I need your help. Save me. I need your help badly. I'm yours. Save me. Okay? And what qualifies me for your attention, that you would pay attention to me and indeed save me? Ki fikudecha, for your precepts, darashti, I have sought out. And darash comes from the word that we have today. MIDweek, MIDrash, the study. I have sought you out. Your precepts, I have sought you out. I have studied. I have come to understand them. So that's why I give myself to you. And now you have a responsibility to me, because I love you that much. And you respond in kind. So it's our cry out for him. It's a cry, not completely of desperation, because the psalmist experiences these emotional moments where he feels defeated, He always comes to the truth. He always comes through at the end. But he has these moments where he's being afflicted, where there's wicked ones about. We don't have to wait long for that, because that's right in the next verse. But I am yours, so save me, for I have sought your precepts. In other words, we're trying to qualify why you should save me. I'm yours. Save me. I keep your precepts. I seek out. I search your precepts. I will find you, because I will seek you with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength. I will put you first in my life, so I will find you. It's not hide and seek. When we seek Yahuwah, we seek him with all our heart. We will find him. We won't be disappointed. He will always be there. Always. Sometimes we look past him, though. Sometimes we see the obvious answer and we just ignore it and look for something that's more appealing to us. Okay. The next verse is verse 95, which is that. Li. A small word, right? Li is the first word. As we continue with the acrostic nature of the psalm, we're going for each of the words that begin a verse. Okay? So this verse goes as such. Li ki vu. Li ki vu. They wait for me. Who does? The Reshaim. The Reshaim. The Reshaim. The wicked ones, they wait for me. Li ab de ni. To destroy me. They wait for me. The wicked wait for me to destroy me. And that's what wicked people do. You don't have to ask, well, what did he do? What happened? What led to this? That's what the wicked do. The wicked don't need excuses. The wicked don't need reason. The wicked do what the wicked do. And that's it. That is absolutely the solution. The wicked do what the wicked are going to do. To destroy. That's what the adversary does. That's what Messiah identified them. You are of your father the devil. You are of your father the devil. Those who are of Messiah do not continue with a sinful mindset, continuing to think of evil and wickedness. We live in the purity of the word, and we don't have entertaining these thoughts. So it's the wicked, those who are abstained from Torah, have no understanding or desire for it. Okay, seek to destroy me. Edotecha, your testimonies, et bonan, I will consider, I will ponder. Your testimonies, I will consider, I will ponder. And when we use that word ponder or consider, it makes it sound like we're kind of unsure. I'll ponder, I'll let you know. But this is talking about a deeper ponderance, a deeper consideration. It's to consider something, to consider the size of the sun, to consider its capabilities of warming the planet from the great distance that it is, and that there's solar flares that affect our radio signals here on the earth. We consider the magnitude of the universe or the depths of the ocean. We consider it. We're in awe of it. We're astounded by the length, depth, and breadth and height of it. So we consider it in that sense. I consider your testimonies. They wait for me to destroy me, but I'm not going to panic. I will consider your testimonies. I will meditate on your words, your testimonies, your goodness. And the word for testimony comes from the word ed, which means the witness, a recorder, a prince, an assembly, to advance, to continue, to remove. So the testimony is active. It bears truth of its creator. The testimonies reflect the one who's giving the testimony. Your testimonies of you, okay? The testimony of Yeshua is not just necessarily talking about him, but they're the testimonies of him, the words that he would say. Like the gospel of Yeshua is not just the biographical information, it's the gospel of Messiah. What did he preach about? He preached about the kingdom. He preached about righteousness and a standard that is excellent that we all need to be participating in regularly and doing it. Okay? Okay. So we come to the last verse here. So everything he's considering creation. He's considering all these things. And And now he's having trouble. I'm yours, save me, for I've sought your precepts. The wicked wait and to destroy me, but I consider your testimonies. And this last verse is amazing. Okay. Lechal. Lechal is the last word here on this verse. And chal again is all. Lechal is to all of. Tichla, to all of perfection or completeness. And we talked about this word last week, at least, Herman, maybe the week before also, the kala, which means to have represent an end, or the bride, okay? To all of the completeness, to all of the fulfillment, okay? So I have seen the consummation of all, okay? So here we have that here. To all of the completeness, okay? Ra, Ra'iti, Ra'iti, Kates, Kates. I see the limits. To all of completeness, to all of perfection in this world, I've seen its limits. I've seen its limit. Kates. To all of perfection or completeness, I can see the limit. Okay? Rechava, but boundless, broad, no limit. Mitzvatecha me'od, but boundless are your commandments, and very, very. Me'od is like tov ma'od, very good. Very, okay. Broadless, broad, no limits. The commandments of Yahuwah, your commandment is exceedingly broad. There's no limitation. As I said, when we enter in through that narrow gate, that narrow way, the difficult way, as opposed to what looks like the easy way, we're going to take the way that's going to be the way that he indicates is the correct one. Once we get in there, it's broad. It's exceedingly broad. There's no, I've seen the consummation of all perfection, but your commandment is exceedingly broad. I've seen the end of things. I've seen things and I've seen their limitations. But through your word, there is no end. There's no end. It's exceedingly broad. Le'olam va'ed, from Le'olam, going back and forth, across and beyond. It is staggering. So this is the conclusion. Look, I've seen it all. And it goes back to the very beginning. Forever, Yahuwah, your word is settled in heaven. And I've seen the consummation of all perfection, but your commandment is massive. Is massive. It's like Crocodile Dundee. That's a knife. Here's a knife. This is a knife. To put anything else to shame, but your commandment, your mitzvot techa, your commandment is very broad and boundless with no limits. There's no limits to the law. We don't run out of law through time or space. And I say time because a commandment of yesterday, in the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, getting the Torah at Sinai, and the children of Israel gathering in Yerushalayim for Messiah's advent, as he comes in on the week of Passion, to today, the commandment is still broad with no limits in sight. The commandments, the 10 commandments, are still very, very much in effect. And I remember the time when I was told by somebody in the sermon, the 10 commandments are not for believers. Okay, not so much. So this verse shows that there's no, it's not just broad in the sense of expansive on a physical limit, because time and space are connected in Yahuwah. He doesn't exist in time or space. Time and space exist in him. And so he expands beyond the beyond. Anyway, I'm talking a lot. I'm not getting anyone else in here. So please speak up, guys and gal.
Okay, I'll share a few things. Let's see. One of the things that I said last time was that in the last week's section of Kaf, I said that it was the very middle of the poem, and that it seemed to be the psalmist's lowest point. He was in really bad shape. However, what I see here in Lahmed is that he seems to be recovering. He's bouncing back.
Yeah.
He starts with 3 verses of teaching. Okay, so this is what you call didactic verses, teaching verses.
Yes.
He seems to be recovering from that low point, and he then begins to teach. All right, forever, O Lord, your word is settled in heaven. Your faithfulness endures to all generation. You established the earth, and it abides. They continue to this day according to your ordinances for all of your servants. So I kind of like that because he's bouncing back. He's starting to teach already, but he teaches in a very beautiful way because there's a lot of parallelism here. Regarding these 3 verses, they are basically saying the same thing. What they're communicating is the eternality of the Lord's ways and the eternality of his creation.
Yes.
It endures. His ways endures, his creation endures.
Yes.
And that everything in heaven and earth, as you said, Bob, serves him. It has a purpose. Everything is a servant of the Lord. So I really, really dig that regarding how he begins to bounce back with some didactic teaching. And regarding that word didactic, keep in mind that the book of Psalms has many, many different types of psalms, many categories. We know that Psalm 119 is an acrostic psalm, and there are psalms in Psalm 119. Okay, and then we also see we've seen praise and thanksgiving, and there are psalms that fall into the category of praise and thanksgiving. So there are many different types of psalms, many different categories, and we see some of these categories within this long poem.
Yes.
Let's see what else I can share from a grammatical point of view. Let me just refer to my notes. Okay, verse 93. I don't know if William and Yochanan has the Hebrew text in front of them, but in verse 93, Bob, if you have the Hebrew text, Gilbert, I don't know, Pat, I don't know if you have it, but in verse 93, there is a very interesting word that I want to share a little bit regarding grammar, and that word is pikudecha. Okay, verse 93, leolam lo eshkach pikudecha. All right, and notice the athnak there, Bob. I don't know, are you following there?
Yep.
Second verse. Yeah, you'll notice that in this verse here, the athnak is at pihudecha. Okay? Now, what I want to share about this is that you'll notice that the first 3 letters, all 3 letters have a dot inside of them. There is a dot inside the pei, a dot inside the kof, and then a dot inside the other letter, which is a shurik. And what I want to share regarding that from a grammatical point of view is that each of these dots serve a different purpose. They all serve a different purpose. Like, for instance, the dot inside the pei, inside the p, is called a dagish lane. And basically, that's just a diacritical mark to distinguish it from the F sound.
Right.
When you have the dot inside is a P sound, and when you do not have the dot, it's an F sound. So it functions as a diacritical mark to distinguish one phoneme, one sound from another. And that's called a dagish lane. The dot inside the kof is called a dagish chazak, or a dagish forte, a strong dagish.
Chazak.
And in this case, it functions to double. It doubles the cue. Sometimes it's referred to as a doubling dagish. So with this dot, there are 2 cues. There are 2 cues. Peak, ku, Decha. Okay, so there are two Qs because this is a doubling dagish. It's a dagish forte. And then the third dot inside the letter is a vowel which functions as a U sound. All right? It is what you call a shurik. And it is an U sound. It's a vowel. It functions as a vowel. But you will notice that you have three dots, and every dot has a particular purpose in this particular case.
That's great.
Now, keep in mind that for every rule, there's always an exception. But in general, and in particular for this particular word, pikudecha, you have the dagish lene to distinguish it from the F sound. You have the dagish, the doubling dagish, the dagish chazak or dagish forte, and then you have the shurik, that dot which causes it to be an U sound, a vowel. Okay, so that's just a little grammar there. You have any questions on that, Bob?
No, I think your explanations are excellent. I do see that the triple dagesh there, and they all have a different purpose. It's cool. It really is.
Okay, beautiful. And you'll notice there that the afnak under the dalit functions, as I said, as the grammatical half of the verse, and it also functions as the accent mark. The D is the syllable that is to be stressed. Okay, pikudecha, decha. So it's the D that has to be stressed. That syllable has to be stressed. Okay, let's see if I can. Verse 94. Verse 94. I found verse 94 very interesting. Let's see if I can read it quickly. We're running out of time here. Lecha ani hoshieni. Right? Comma. He fi chudecha. Notice that in verse 94 you have the fi chudecha. There is no dot in the pay there because it is following an open syllable. Remember that I shared that last time, Bob?
Yeah, I remembered.
Because this is one of the Beged Kefet letters. And if it follows an open syllable, a vowel, it will not have the dagish lene.
Yeah.
So in this case, it doesn't have the dot. Whereas in verse 93, it has the dot because pikudecha is following a closed syllable. So what I dug about this verse is that it rhymes. It rhymes. It has that E rhyming, and it's quite balanced because the afmak, once again, separates the two clauses, the two lines within the verse, the afmak, and it is balanced with 8 syllables each. So I found that very beautiful, very poetic. So it rhymes, and the verse is quite balanced with 8 syllables.
Wow. Yep.
When I want to just clarify something, not necessarily grammatical syllables, but tonal syllables, and I'm not going to get into that because that's a whole different spiel there. But it does rhyme with tones. Let's see. And I think I'll leave it there. There are other things, but we're running out of time, and I know you want to read it again to close off. But the section Lahmed, he is really nice, really nice. He's bouncing back. He's coming back to life.
Yes, he is.
With that.
Yes, he is. And I want to give you the opportunity to share whatever's on your heart. You know, it's 8:29. We've been going like 10 minutes over, but if it's something that you can save for another week, rather than we're not going to miss it if you don't say it today, are we?
Alrighty. Okay. I'll just share one more grammatical point, and that's found in verse 95.
Okay.
In verse 95, believe it or not, I had a hard time trying to figure out how to pronounce this word. I could not figure out how to pronounce it, and it's the second word. In verse 95, it says li hu vu, but I had no idea how to pronounce it. I wasn't sure. You'll notice that it begins with a cough, right?
Right.
And it has the little dot, the chirik, and then it has what seems to be a shurik, and then another shurik.
Right.
See that, Bob?
I did.
Yeah. So I was not sure how to pronounce that word, and after analyzing it and checking out a few books, I realized that center letter, that middle letter, it is not an U. It is a consonant.
Mm-hmm.
It is a consonant. It is not the U sound.
Right.
So it would, in modern Hebrew, it would be pronounced kiv U. And I was surprised you pronounced it correctly, Bob.
Yeah. Yeah, because I looked it up in the Strong's Concordance, and the full version of that word has a vav. So I figured, just like with the mitzvot, that even though it has the dagesh above it and would make it, let's just pronounce it as an ot sound instead of a vot sound. I just assumed that it would be kivu. Yeah.
Yep, kivavu is correct. It's well, in modern Hebrew, it's a v sound, and since it has the doubling dagesh in the middle, there are two v's. Grammatically, there would be two v's, so it would be kiv-vu. Alrighty, and I had to go back and try to remember. Okay, what's the rule here? And the rule is this: to distinguish a vowel has to be between two consonants. If you have two consonants, then the middle one would be a vowel. Have two vowels, then the middle one would be a consonant. That's the general rule. Do you follow?
Yep.
If a letter is between two vowels, then it is a consonant. And in this case, it is a consonant because you have the chirik, you have the little dot under the kof, which is a consonant, and then you have the shurik at the end, which is a consonant. So then it has to be, you have the chirik, which is a vowel, and the shurik, which is a vowel. So it had to be a consonant. So that's the rule. If it's between two consonants, it is a vowel, and if it's between two vowels, it is a consonant. So in this case, it is a double consonant. And I struggled with that word a little bit. I was quite surprised that you pronounced it correctly, because I couldn't.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. I was curious myself. I was wondering, how do I do that? And I as I said, I looked at the verse, I looked at the Strong's Concordance, and I saw the word that it had a valve, an active valve, and I couldn't imagine it be two oohs, ooh, ka-ooh, ki-ooh. No, it's got to be ki.
Right.
But it is good. It is good. And it's amazing.
I'll leave it at that, Bob. So that's the rule, folks. If a letter is between two vowels, then that middle letter is a consonant. And if a letter is between two consonants, then it's a vowel. That's a general rule.
Okay, we'll try to remember that. And I think we've been making good progress here. I really do. I think that each of our programs, which we've tried to limit to like an hour, hour and 5, hour and 10, that it's coming across. I think we're giving it a good run, and our metal is being tested, and that's a good thing. It's a blessing having you, Erman, and I look forward to each letter that we do. And number 30, the Lahmed, the staff, the cattle goad, or the rod, is today's second half. Begins the second half of the psalm with the 12th letter of the 22, 11 and 11, 22. So this is number 12. And then we'll see what direction the psalmist goes in next week, what he emphasizes. But I think it was very interesting. Right at the outset, we get the sense of permanence, the sense of eternity, the sense of infinity. And to get a sense of who Yahuwah, who our wonderful creator is, we have to be in awe of him.
Hey, Bob,
yeah.
Let me just give me a moment, because William wrote something very interesting. William wrote, amazing, clarified one doubt of my mind, actually. William, can you just briefly share what you're referring to, that there was clarification? Do you see his note there, Bob?
Yes, clarified one doubt of mine, actually. Yeah, William, if you don't mind just giving a quick note there, and then we'll end after that as we come to conclusion of number 12, Lahmed.
The double dageshim. Okay, all right, great. I'm glad that I was able to help you with the dagesh. The dagesh is a bit tricky sometimes. It can be a bit tricky. The rule, William, if you have an opportunity, go online and look up something that's called Baget Kafet letters. Baget Kafet letters. That's a made-up word which deals with the letters that has the dot as a dogish lane, and that will help you. Baget Kafet letters. Okay.
Amen.
Okay, and Baget Kafet, that's a made-up word which stands for the B, the G, the D, the Kaf, the Pet, and the Tav. Baget Kafet. Go online, look up Baget Kafet letters. That will give you the rule for the Dagish Lane, which differs from the Dagish Chazak, the doubling Dagish. That would be a good start for you, William.
Amen. Amen. Okay, so let me give a quick read through, one final read through of the Psalm 89 to 96. Forever, O Yahuwah, your word is settled in the heavens. Your faithfulness endures to all generations. You establish the earth, and it abides. They continue this day according to your ordinances, for they are all your servants. Servants, I said it again. Unless your Torah had been my delight, I would have perished in my affliction. I will never forget your precepts, for by them you have given me life. I am yours, save me, for I have sought your precepts. The wicked wait for me to destroy me, but I will consider your testimonies. I have seen the consummation of all perfection, but your commandment is exceedingly broad. Exceedingly broad. The skies, beyond the skies, the sky is not the limit. The limit is way beyond that. So it is beyond that. So, amen. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We thank the eternal Yahuwah for being the author, and the psalmist, who in his humility did not give us his name or his purpose for doing this. It's just there. And it's an epic work. It is like, Moby Dick. It is like a huge War and Peace type of psalm, and it's just amazing. So we thank the Lord for that. And I thank you again for watching us, for being with us. Tell people about what we're doing here. Wherever Wednesday evening at 7:30, we intend to be here for you and for each other. And every Sabbath morning at 11 a.m., we will be here in our Shabbat service. So please check us out. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Give us a prescription. Tell people about it. Word of mouth is the best way to get things around. So we thank you. And Pat, could you please conclude with prayer for us tonight?
Our Father, in the name of Yeshua, we thank you that we could come together via this phone line, that we have the freedom to do so. And we thank you and praise you. You are so worthy to be praised. I thank you that we were able to open up your word and hear from our leaders and understand your word. And Father, I just thank you and praise you for all the blessings you bestow upon us. Father, I thank you that you keep us from day to day, and that you watch over us, and
Yes.
that you guide us.
Yes.
And I thank you and praise you for all things. Amen.
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 Amen. Toda rabah. Again, we thank you for being with us, for joining us. We love having you. And again, we will see you soon. Have a wonderful week. And we say shalom. We say laila tov ulehitraot. We say good night. And we will check you out later. Later, my friends. Havarim and mishpacha. Bye-bye now. Shalom, shalom.
Good night, Herman.
Shalom. Have a good night, everyone.